Hi, everyone. We have reached week 5. I hope that you're doing well. I know that the class can be overwhelming in terms of the amount of information that you're receiving. I do also know that being a teacher for the past 10 years, students in MSW programs are overwhelmed. So your feelings are normal. Being in an online program specifically, it is going to be overwhelming because the whole premise of an online program is that you aren't in person. You're doing all of these things in a self paced but also a structured way. And so, yes, it is going to be overwhelming because the amount of activities that you're doing is to show the learning, right? If we were in person, I could gauge learning by how you respond to the class, how you are. Um, I could look at your face, I could look at your body language. So it gives more opportunities to gauge learning. But online, we have to develop an online kind of presence for it. And so that's why it seems like there are a lot of assignments. Week 5 has every week you're going to have your facilitated discussion except for week 8. Um, and then I think maybe at the end, there's not one either. So you are going to have your facilitated discussion every week. Um, I can post the schedule for the facilitators again. You're going to have a week where you facilitate, and then all the other weeks you'll just be responding. Everyone is doing well. Last facilitated discussion, I just gave you some tips on how to enhance not only your posts, but also when you respond. So with online, when you're responding to your classmates, you know, just repeating what they said is not going to be what we're looking for. We're looking for more of a furthering of the conversation, right? So you might mention their points, but then you're going to connect it to something that you've read, the materials that you're looking at. Every week you have readings, and then you're also looking at presentations as well. So making sure that you're integrating that information, right? That's what we're looking for. That's why you have the discussion and the assignments, is to make sure that you're integrating what you've learned, and to demonstrate that you have learned what you've learned. But if you're having issues, please reach out to me because, again, I am a faculty member. I did not create the course, right? I'm not the creator of the course. And so, what may seem plain to me, right, because I've been in the field for a while, right, may not be as simple. So let me know if you're like, hey, Dr. Boone, I read the instructions for the assignment and I'm confused. What Let me know what you're confused about so I can make sure. And then just like I did last week, I'll send out some additional um, instructions, but I won't know that you're confused or that you need further instruction because the people that created it and then also me, we've been in the social work realm for a while. So these are things that we just know. And so it is something that I understand can be frustrating because the instructions may be difficult and you may feel like just overwhelmed from just everything. um, so I want you to know everyone is in good standing in my class. Whether it is students in my class, normally students in my class don't let me know that they are very stressed out. But I have a lot of interns that I work with, and they're always stressed out. And in the end, you know, with them coming to me, which I have no problem as a internship supervisor, with them coming to me with assignments, I want them to come to me. Um, but by the end of the semester, online or in person, doesn't matter. Both are freaking out and both get an A at the end of the semester. Maybe if it's a challenging class, they might get a B, but they always are in good standing. So you're doing the right thing. Um, with a If you have a good work ethic, you'll do fine, right? And I don't want you to take my criticism as I'm coming down on you or you're doing something wrong. I'm just letting you know as a professor what I'm expecting and how to get the full points because I don't mind giving you the full points. But if it wasn't full point worthy, then I'm not going to, I'm not going to give you the full points. Um, Last week, I did deduct some points if I felt that I needed to, but I never deducted more than 3 points out of 20, right? So the lowest I gave was a 17 out of 20, right? And it wasn't even that that was anything wrong with those posts either. I'm just giving you more guidance on how to respond to the posts and also how to respond to your classmates because of the rubric, right? The rubric, which I did not create, has a lot of emphasis on your participation and engagement with your peers and also the group dynamics, how you are interacting with your peers, right? And so, because there's a value on that, right? There's in terms of your points, I just want to make sure that you are maximizing your points. So that's why I'm giving you feedback so that you can maximize your points and so that you kind of know what to expect. So please don't take my feedback as you're doing anything wrong or your post was terrible. It's not that. um, and it's not terrible because I would have given you like a 5, right? But I'm not giving out 5s because the work is good. You're doing the work, you're doing a great job. As we go along, your critical thinking will just get better because I'm going to be challenging you and saying, "Hey, what about this? You didn't talk about this," or your response was maybe just went 1 level. I want you to go 3 levels. Like, you didn't touch on this, right? So I'm just giving you feedback, right? So you don't I don't want you to feel like you have to be perfect in the class. Um, I want you to be able to do well in the class. Everyone from what I can see in the grade book is doing well. Nobody is really, 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 really in dire straits, okay? So I want you to be able to I want you to be able to reach out to me. I want you to tell me your concerns. But I want you to know that I'm not concerned in terms of the work you're submitting. The work you're submitting is good. If there's some room for improvement, I'm just letting you know there's room for improvement, letting you know because we're learning each other. This is week 5, right? We're learning each other and I'm just giving you some kind of key ways of making sure that you're demonstrating your learning, right? Because you're doing the presentations. I see all of your knowledge checks, they're coming in beautifully. Um, and so you're doing the work. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of reassurance. I'm sorry if I went on a ramble, but I don't want my students to be stressed out. I don't want you to be stressed out. You're going to be stressed out. All MSW students are stressed out because you're in school and it's a lot, right? Social work is a lot. It's a lot of concepts. And you may be feeling like, how am I going to remember all of this? How am I going to apply this? But guess what? You will. And you probably already are. Um, and I'm not sure of the sequence, but you may not be an internship yet, right? And so some of these things will come back to you in internship. Even after you graduate, because it's a lot of information, it will come back to you when you graduate, right? So it's going to be an extended learning. That's why, as social workers, we have to have 40 CEU credits every 2 years um, because we're always learning. I'm always learning as well. So I don't want you to feel like you have to be perfect. You have to remember every single thing to be able to work with clients, right? That's not it. We're just wanting to expose you to fundamental, foundational things. So when you go to your other classes, you'll have a base, right? Of where to start from, right? So that's what I want you to think about the class. Yes, it's foundational, but you don't have to memorize everything in the course, right? All your courses, you're not going to be able to memorize everything, okay? But what you're going to be doing is having your just basics, right? How humans interact, how they behave. Because when you do get clients, or though maybe you work at a social work job now, you're going to be able to analyze things differently. And it's going to happen. It just might not happen in these weeks, right? It may take a little while, and you're going to see that the other courses build upon this, right? When we think about diagnoses, right? Assessing people for mental health disorders, it's going to be, we want to know what the norm is, so then we can see what the maladaptive behavior is, right? I'll say that again. We want to know what the normal behavior is, and even normal, right? Where do we get that word from? What's normal, right? And so we want to know that so that we can see what maladaptive things are happening. And so, last week you learned about stress and kind of what are normal kind of behaviors of stress, right? So that's what you're learning. Once you get into some of your other classes, then you'll learn, okay, this is what we do um, when things aren't normal, right? When there's no homeostasis, when things are disrupted. This is how we help our clients heal and move through those times, right? So that was just my soapbox. I'm so sorry. Now we're going to get to week 5, but I just don't want my students to be stressed out. I can't help you not be stressed out about online school, because online school is a lot. My husband is in online school. I was always in person, right? And so I have a little bit of exposure, but I've never taken a full on course in social work online, right? And so my husband is a teacher. He does his courses online. It's a lot. It's a lot of work. And so I want you to feel comfortable knowing that the work you'll adjust, because typically classes are going to be set up very similar, and that you're going to do fine. You're going to be okay. And being overwhelmed is a normal feeling for being an MSW program. Okay, week 5. Welcome to week 5. Um, we're going to be talking about culture and the physical environment. This week, we're going to be diving into an essential topic in social work practice. I know I'm going to say this every week, but it's an essential topic in social work practice. The role of culture and the physical environment is shaping human behavior. You will be exploring how cultural worldviews and physical environments influence people's experiences, values, and social interactions. Culture is more than just tradition or language. It shapes how we perceive the world, how we interact with others, and how we respond to challenges. Similarly, the built and natural environment, including spaces like where we live, work, and engage with society, can impact health, social interactions, and well being. So, as you engage with this content this week, I encourage you to think critically about how culture and environment shape human behavior in ways that may be invisible at first glance. So, your learning objectives for this week and why this matters. You're going to be able to, by the end of the week, describe how culture produces variation in human behavior and why understanding this is crucial for social work and your practice. Analyze a real world case. We're still doing our case with Heidi, and you're going to see how different worldviews shape behavior. Understand how the physical environment influences behavior and why social justice is an important consideration when designing spaces. Reflect on cultural differences and how that impacts social work practice, what skills are needed to work across cultures. You might be wondering how these assignments fit together and why are we doing them. So let's break down your assignments for the week. We have our facilitated discussion. Um, we are going to, I haven't checked it, so I don't know if the prompt has already been submit it, but it is 2 o'clock, so I'm sure it is on there. So this is an opportunity. Again, all the facilitated discussions are an opportunity to show your learning for the week, right? You're going to be connecting it. And the reason why, as a professor in your curriculum, we use current events is so that you can connect it to things that are happening in the real world, right? I feel like scenarios, current events are really important, because we don't want to just be telling you and giving all these concepts and then you're not applying what you learned. So, application, right? 5.2, a cultural clash analysis. This is with Heidi, with our Heidi. This assignment builds on previous weeks, right? Because we've been looking at Heidi for this is like the third week we've been looking and analyzing Heidi, right? Different aspects. Okay. So this week is going to be cultural. We're going to analyze previous weeks, you analyzed identity, relationships, and stress. So now we're going to add the cultural dimension. How does cultural background shape expectations, emotions, and responses to stress? You'll analyze how Heidi's American upbringing and Vietnamese heritage create conflict in her interactions and her biological family. And this connects directly to social work practice as understanding cultural conflicts and understanding that there's multiple cultures that can be at play, and understanding, how clients and how people navigate those types of situations. Key, right? You're going to hear culture for the rest of your social work career. Culture is going to come up continuously. So, this is going to not only be something you learn today or this week, but also it's going to be in every class. You're going to learn about culture and how that impacts whatever the class is about, right? I also teach child welfare. That's my expertise. And culture is a major thing, right? Child abuse and neglect. Um, do we account for culture? Just because someone is a part of a culture that may have abusive practices, is that okay? Do we allow that? Right? But no, we don't. But also, how do we consider their culture as we work with them, in educating them or just understanding why the actions are happening that are happening, right? Again, theory, human behavior is all about the lens that you wear. What are you seeing, right? Because as social workers, we can use our own biases and just see that, right? But this is about breaking down your biases and making sure that you're considering your client's culture and not just yours, right? When you're working with them. The third activity for the week, so you do have three activities in terms of outside of your watching the presentation and your knowledge checks. Your third one is going to be a video reflection. Now, I looked at the instructions, they seem pretty simple to me, but if you need additional instructions on either the cultural clash analysis or the video reflection, please let me know. But both of them to me was just you answering questions, and it seemed pretty straightforward to me, but just let me know if you need clarification. So the video reflection is going to be an introspective activity. Okay. It's going to connect your academic concepts to your own worldview. And so you're going to be, one of the questions is to give your gut reaction, right? It's going to be a reflection. So you're going to use your video, whatever format or however you want to record yourself. I have had issues with uploading, but because we have the idea team, I'm sure you'll be able to upload your video no problem. And you're going to kind of reflect on your own cultural lens and how this might impact your work with clients. This builds on last week's discussion about stress, coping, and relationships by adding culture as another factor. So we're just moving through different topics, building on what we've already learned. We want you to enhance your self awareness, okay, and be able to critically think about cultural competent social work. So that's the reason. I don't know if you're looking for like really, really like groundbreaking reasons as to why you have to do the assignments, but it is to demonstrate your learning at the very like core of it. But culture is really important, and so that's why you have those two additional assignments outside of your discussion post. How this week connects to previous learning. In week 3, we talked about cognition, emotion, and self. So now we're expanding that, okay, to look at how culture influences cognition and emotion. In week 4, we talked about stress and coping. This week, we're going to look at how cultural expectations shape how people experience stress and seek help, okay, or support. Moving forward, these concepts will continue to build as we examine how systems, policies, and oppression impact people from different backgrounds. So I know that the workload in this course is heavy. I appreciate you and all the efforts you're putting into the assignments. You're doing a great job. You're doing a great job. And from my perspective, you may not feel like it, but from my perspective, you're doing a great job. Each activity is designed to help you apply knowledge to real world situations or scenarios and develop skills for culturally responsive social work practice. If you do feel overwhelmed, you can reach out. You can break your assignments into smaller tasks, making them more manageable. We call that partialization. It's a social work technique, okay? And engage with peers, which I think you all are doing. Talk to each other, see how you can help each other out in terms of being a support to one another. So, if you have any questions, if you need any support, please reach out to me. I want you to be successful. I say that in every weekly video, but I want you to be successful. And there's no reason as to why you will not be successful in the class. It just is going to be a pain. I want it to be as painless as possible, but I'm sorry, I can't take away anything. I can't take away the assignments. However, now that you know kind of where you're going, how they connect to what you've been learning, and knowing that you don't have to, the point is not for you to memorize everything that you've learned. It's just about exposure. And you'll be surprised how you'll reflect and you'll be like, oh, I talked about this in class, right? Um, you're going to start seeing things in your family, right? That's normal. Oh, this is a this culture, you're gonna be so social worky that you're gonna be like, your friends and family are gonna be like, "Are you analyzing me? Right? Are you social working me?" And you're gonna be like, "No," but really in your mind you're like, "Yes," because I'm trying to, I'm trying to apply what I learned, right? I'll never forget when I had the DSM-5 and I gave it. I was in the car with my mom. My mom has mental health issues. That's probably why I'm in social work. And I was learning about depression, and it made me think that she had that, right? So I took it out. This is not what you're supposed to do, but I took it out and I said, "Mom, let me read down all of the symptoms of depression." Like, I read from I had the DSM-5 in my backpack, and I read it to her, and she said, "Oh, well, it does sound like I had some of those things," and I was like, "Yes." Like, yes. And so, as you learn about social work, you're just gonna see it, like, you're gonna see it everywhere, it's gonna trigger things, so you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to memorize anything, right? Um, there may be some times where, um, you will be assessed, right, on the learning. So I'm not saying, just don't memorize anything. But I'm just saying you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to memorize every word, every concept, right? But make sure you are retaining some of it. So if you do have to take notes, if you know what kind of learner you are, and this is the licensure prep in me, if you know what kind of learning style that you have, right? Make sure that you are understanding what is that learning style, and make sure that you are exercising your learning style. So if you're auditory, then when you are those presentations, you want to make sure you're getting that audio. If you're visual, you might want to take notes because that's going to help you. I know for me, I'm visual, so I need to take notes. I need to see it. So do what you need to do to make sure that you're retaining the information, but it doesn't have to be where you are regurgitating it out word for word, right? But you're doing great so far. Everybody's doing great. I can check the grade book one more time, but I'm pretty sure everybody's doing really well who are submitting the assignments. People that are submitting their assignments, they're doing well. So I think that um, although you may feel overwhelmed, I want you to know that I'm here to support you, and we're gonna get through it together. You might be a little frustrated and a little pained, but it's going to be okay. Reach out to me when you need to. Um, and maybe when you see the weekly video come out, go ahead and look at all the instructions for all the activities ahead of time so you can let me know if it makes sense or not. Um, and if you need additional clarification, that's not a problem. But again, I'm not a good judge of whether you need clarification or not. So you have to let me know so I'll know, like, okay, no problem. Let me answer your questions. Let me see what kind of other instructions I can give, right? But I don't know because it seems good to me. So you got to let me know. But I hope that you have a great week. And let me know, touch base with me. My pattern is that I'm checking in, but I would say the best way to reach me is email just because I'm constant that's on my phone, whereas Blackboard messages are not on my phone. So when I'm getting them, I might be responding a little delayed to the Blackboard messages, but if you want to reach me kind of quickly, email is easiest for me because I'm constantly clearing out my email, responding. So don't feel like you have to do Blackboard message, you can definitely email me directly, whatever your question is. And I will see what we did this week. I'm looking forward to seeing your work. And I will be grading whatever is outstanding as it comes along. So, yes, you're doing a great job, and I will see you next week in the weekly video.